I made a decision to retire from rugby because I was a secondary school PE teacher and I absolutely loved my career there as well. And what I started to find was that I wasn't putting as much impact into my career as what I could have. I started to break bones, I was becoming sick, I was really attached to my students at the school. So yeah, I was pretty young when I chose to move on. I think I was like 21, maybe 22. But yeah, it was kind of an easy decision for me because I knew that where I was heading next was really important in the education sphere. There was plenty of skills that I learned from rugby that I could take into teaching. Definitely around leadership, really clear communication skills, and being able to work as a team and also individually. So when I started moving into education, what I found was I was really confident in being able to explain myself in a clear way with the kids, to get them to do things that I knew that they could do. I think that resilience from sport as well, like you take that mindset with you moving into where you want to go next. So I knew that when I was working with kids in the school, you're not immediately a champion and you don't love, like not everyone's going to love sport, but what I could do was I could put myself through that process of where I came into professional sport and moved out of it, and then could kind of try that on for size with the kids to think, well, where would they be at right now? And how can I communicate in a way that's going to differentiate that child to get them to do something within education, within physical education, because that was my job. So the skills I'd learned from rugby, moving it into teaching and now into my current career, which is running a social media agency, is the fact that it's all about the win for me. And I really learned that at an early age playing sport. You don't do things by halves. You put everything in, you always find a way. Again, just like on the rugby field, that's what I do now in this career. If there's a roadblock or if one day I might just think, oh, this is too much, I just reflect back to my sporting days and just find a way in my head mentally to fit back to those days to go, well, how did I push through? How do I bring other people in as a team to help me to get what I want and to help them get what they want as well? And it really is like that resilience, that like hard work, going the extra mile. These are all skills that you get taught on the rugby field and you can take them wherever you want to go next, which kind of makes you feel a little bit unstoppable in some respects, because from my rugby career, and I'd only played really professionally for maybe a year and a half, but I felt I'd made it to the pinnacle, and then I really transitioned that into where I am now, to think keeping those standards really, really high. Like I had a really high standard in rugby, I want to have a really high standard in the career I'm doing right now, in terms of the client service, in terms of bringing on the best people in my team, and to really start to motivate them and inspire them to be the best that they can be. And that's all come from playing rugby, being around a team of high performers that always find a way and always focused on the win. The skills that I learned from rugby that I've really transitioned into the career I am now is like having that can-do attitude and always finding a way. I remember when I broke my leg back in 2008, like I was in a cast from my hip to my toes and I couldn't move really, and I was like pretty much bedbound a lot of the time, but I kind of thought, well, what can I do with this situation and how can I bring best light to it? I'd heard of social media, I'd heard of Twitter, and I got my mate over one day to get a recording of me because I thought I could potentially get businesses to bid for advertising space in my broken leg. So I kind of had a crazy creative idea, and I managed to get it out on social networking sites such as Twitter, my video, and people started sharing that, and then people started bidding for their advertising space in my broken leg, which really did then take me into that next level of moving from rugby and teaching into the social media sphere, which was something that wasn't big in 2008, and it was something that I never thought that I'd go into. But it just shows you that, those skills that you get taught in professional sport are totally transferable if you know where you want to go. And sometimes you don't know where you want to go because opportunities like this just fall on your lap. And if you have that positive mindset and you really push for what you believe in and you have that gut feel, then you start to gain traction. So yeah, from that broken leg now, I'm running 2 different agencies. So thank you Broken Leg and thank you Rugby. And I'm in a space I absolutely love. I'm passionate about everything I'm doing, and I'm still doing pretty much the basics that you get taught when you are in that team environment, or I suppose that individual environment as well. It's always finding a way to win, listening more than you talk, be interested, not interesting in people, and then really focus on delivering great value, just like you do on the soccer pitch or a rugby field. You do exactly the same thing in your business. So I'm really grateful for that broken leg. Probably one of the most challenging things about retiring is the fact that you're not around your team anymore, and the routine's gone. What I thrived on was the routine. It was the training sessions, it was the nutrition programs, it was like in the locker rooms afterwards, after the win, and that kind of social experience. And that, I suppose, routine, definitely I missed within the first year. And it took me a while to get back into training again. I kind of went off track a bit, really didn't have as much focus on that stuff as what I probably needed to. But then obviously after that year, really picked it back up again and felt comfortable. But I would definitely say, yeah, it was that whole team experience that I missed the most. There's so many more challenges, I think, right now than what there was when I was playing. I think the main one, potentially, I don't know if it's a challenge or not, but obviously with social media being a main part of people's lives, it's like your life is on broadcast pretty much for everyone to see if you choose for it to be, or people can just talk about you anyway online without you even having any control about it. So if you have a really bad game, then you probably expect, if you choose to go and read those comments, lots of negative comments about you. And I think that, the players that do go and they start to read that stuff can probably affect them mentally, because it's not a great thing, like reading lots of people throwing hate on you, especially out there online. So definitely the solution to that though is around the fact that you are in control, like you don't have to read those comments and you can choose what you put out on social media and what you don't put out on social media. But again, like life is online now and online privacy is pretty much dead. So luckily in my day, that wasn't there and you could get away with a few more things, but these days you have to be squeaky clean and just make sure that, pretty much anyone and everyone is watching you. I think athletes need to start preparing for life after sport, honestly, as soon as they get started, because you could have an injury and that could take you out in a moment. So some of the ways that they can do that is actually trying to work out, like taking their professional sporting head off and putting on their human head and going, well, what am I really good at? What do I love? What am I passionate about? And really future pacing that to go, in 10 years time, what could I see myself doing? And even if that's just make believe stuff, to actually write it down and then kind of reverse engineer it back to go, well, if I want to open up a winery, if I want to invest in an app, if I want to buy a business, then what are some of the things that I need to do right now whilst I am in the limelight and I am playing professional sport to help me to get there as I move on? So there's a really important part that I think some athletes may overlook, and it's just networking, making sure that if you have an opportunity to speak to the senior leadership team, that you get your name out there and you network with them and you get their contact details, you connect up with them on LinkedIn, to the point where, like I know with Caroline Buchanan and where she wants to head, she's already setting up another brand right now called Living the Ride, and that's really about living life on two wheels, having fun, inspiring females to go out there and do what's best. She has very much got her eye on like that transition as well, but she's really taking the cream now, which is going to give her so much momentum as she moves forward. So like building her social media following, making sure that it's not just BMX focused or her sport focused, looking at again like the fact that she wants to work with young females, like building that audience now, which is going to then carry on with that as she moves on. And lastly, just really monetizing her social media following, like social currency. So really adding even more value to those partners, those sponsors, those brands that really are investing in her right now. So then she can carry that forwards as she transitions. So they're with her for the long tail. It's not just a 1 or 2 year partnership or sponsorship. It's so much more than that. And every athlete needs to be thinking about this, whether it's in social media or not. I'm not saying social media is right for every athlete, but they need to be thinking about what's next and really developing and focusing on themselves as a person, not as an athlete. It is so important to invest in the right career path. Like this is something that you'll be doing for most of your life and you have to be passionate about it. Like there's nothing worse than like dragging yourself out of bed in the morning and not enjoying what you're doing. Like everyone is on this planet for such a short space of time. So you really have to live your life for the full potential. Like you are playing professional sport. Like as you move on, you want to be doing exactly the same thing. So it's really finding things that, you can transfer from sport, things that excite you. Like there are jobs right now that are not even created at the moment that will be coming in the next 3-4 years, especially in the digital space. But yeah, really like drilling it back to understand like what value you can give to that organization or what value you can give to the marketplace if you do choose to open up your own business, and then back yourself every step of the way. Do not go into something that you see your mate doing or that you've been told to do. It really is like understanding who you are, your skill set, and you know, maybe the first time you move into a career, it might not be right for you. Like I did exactly that. I moved into PE teaching and did it for 3 years, but then kind of felt that I had more to give somewhere else. So like, again, every step of the way when you are going into those careers that you're really learning and working out what's great for you, what's not good for you. So don't think that you're going to get into the career that you absolutely love first off. You may not, but you actually will still be green and growing and learning and taking those skills into where you want to go next. So every athlete needs to understand that social media is life online and people will be talking about them positively or negatively. A good, I suppose, story around this was when Courtney Dempsey was on a documentary and started to share how he transitioned. After that show, there was a lot of negativity out there on social networking sites, really, you know, slating him and putting him down and questioning him. And like we'd said to Courtney, this stuff's probably going to happen, so don't pay attention to it. And I think knowing that expectation of it may happen sets you up to expect it. But what we also shared with Courtney was you have an amazing social media community, so why don't you put up a post on there to say, this is the reason why I shared it, this is how I'm finding my transition right now, which he did, and he had so much positivity and support. Good on you, Courtney. Thank you so much for sharing. You're amazing, bro. And like his mood completely changed and he kind of flipped out of that, I suppose, little bit of in his life when he knew that people out in there in the big wide world were talking about him, because he had his little tribe of people around him like who were really cheerleading him on, and that really helped him. So the message here is to every athlete watching, people are going to say stuff about you and you may not like it, and everyone has an opinion, but you do have a choice. You don't have to read it, and I think you have to expect it's going to come, because you're not going to be liked by everyone. No one is. That's just life. But unfortunately out there at speed and scale out now with social networking sites, everyone has an opinion. So yeah, stick close to your fans and your friends and the people you know, and don't worry about all the other stuff that's happening out there, because it's yesterday's news really.